The Giga Bull Run is here.
Charles, you are right. The Fed will cut interest rates in September. Can you really see the future? They're going to cut it. And then we are going to get the Clarity Act. And then we're going to have the Giga Chad Bull Run.
Giga Chad Bull Run. Now, in case you missed it, what Charles Hoskinson is referring to is going to be the Federal Reserve's monetary policy and the Fed's framework review from the Jackson Hole Symposium Summit on last Friday. And here's everything you need to know and how to prepare. First and foremost, the Fed chair has officially caved. In 1 month, the Fed will cut rates and blame a weaker labor market for the reason why they're doing so. Meanwhile, we now have a PPI inflation, producer price index, of growth at a 3-year high, and consumer price index, the CPI or inflation, is above 2% for 53 straight months. And let's just say if you don't own any hard assets like Bitcoin or stocks or risk on assets, you are going to be completely left behind. And here's why. In the near term, risks to inflation are tilted to the upside and risks to employment to the downside. A challenging situation. When our goals are in tension like this, our framework calls for us to balance both sides of a dual mandate. Our policy rate is now 100 basis points closer to neutral than it was a year ago, and stability of the unemployment rate and other labor market measures allows us to proceed carefully as we consider changes to our policy stance. Nonetheless, the policy and restrictive territory, the baseline outlook, and the shifting balance of risks may warrant adjusting our policy stance. So what the does that mean? Well, to better understand what actually is happening, you must understand first the Fed's traditional mandate. The Fed's purpose is to reduce unemployment and avoid inflation/deflation. This is the Fed's dual mandate. Since 2021, the Fed has been laser focused on the inflation side of this mandate. However, Chair Powell just made a massive pivot. Powell said the shifting balance of risk may warrant adjusting our policy stance. It should be called policy stance, like policy. I mean, that's kind of where we're at. And I keep stuttering. In other words, the Fed now views unemployment as a bigger risk than inflation. And this is a near-term confirmation that rate cuts are coming in September. But the shift isn't happening because inflation is at the Fed's 2% target. In fact, core CPI is back above 3%, and PPI inflation just saw a plus 0.9% month-over-month jump, the biggest since 2022. So why have the risk shifted? Well, again, clearly, it's because of the labor market. As you can see here, the PPI is exploding. In the latest data, over 258,000 jobs were revised out of May and June data alone. That's more than the entire population of Scottsdale, Arizona. Year to date, almost 500,000 jobs have been revised down. And as we have been saying, many leading indicators of the labor market are cracking. This is not good, and the Fed knows it. What this means is the Fed is set to cut rates into inflation, which the stock market will love. Bitcoin, altcoins, risk on assets, tech stocks, they are going to love this. And this is going to create a massive bubble that's only going to widen the wealth gap in America. However, as inflation rebounds, those who do not own assets will see a similar situation to the post-pandemic era. Wage growth will lag inflation and the wealth gap will grow. In fact, when the Fed cuts rates within 2% of all-time highs, the S&P 500 loves it. In 20 of the last 20 times this happened, the S&P 500 has risen over 14% over the following 12 months, per Carson Research. Asset owners will party like it's 2021. Here's the full graph. As you can see, it pretty much guarantees massive upside in the S&P 500 and risk on assets over the course of the next 12 months, which makes it a pretty harsh case for bears if they predict we're going to be in a bear market in 2026, and pretty much confirms those who own assets are going to be the ones that are rewarded. Bitcoin and gold up massively, all beating inflation. Oh, and let's not forget, Donald Trump has explicitly said he is going to be finding a new Fed chair. Bottom line, welcome to stagflation, where the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Now, just in case you don't know what happened the last time the Feds cut rates, this was 50 basis points in September of 2024. Bitcoin saw, over the course of the next, I don't even know, a few months, 3-4 months, a massive rise of 87%, jumping from roughly $48,000 or $44,000 all the way to $108,000. The total 3 market cap, which is all of your favorite altcoins, what you guys hold, saw a jump of roughly, oh my God, 104%. And in case you don't think institutions are preparing for this, there is a reason why BlackRock now holds 3% of Bitcoin, which if you guys need your latest crypto news, make sure you go check out FOMO.io. So how should you prepare for this upcoming bull run? Well, I believe it's by simply following the person that's going to pump this market himself, Donald Trump. as they've been steadily accumulating tons of different crypto assets and, in my opinion, have not only the insider knowledge, but the policy approach to change legislation to get what they want. And here are the top altcoins the Trump portfolio is holding. And by the way, at the end of this video, I will give you insight to what I believe is the most underrated crypto project, as well as give you some insight to Southeast Asia and Bali's CoinFest. Now, this portfolio is sitting at roughly $500 million now. The top tokens they hold include Ethereum, Bitcoin, Tron, out of all projects, $15 million worth of Tron, Mantle, MNT, $7.37 million. U, which I think is useless coin, which they are probably donated and it just sparked and went parabolic, which is $7.39 million. EOS, White Rock, Ondo, and Ethereum. But primarily Ethereum is like their biggest hold. Now, before I show you my underrated altcoin pick, I do want to let you guys know the alpha test for the can't have a launch on FOMO.io. This is essentially the Uber Eats of marketing campaigns. Any user, any KOL, anybody that wants to make money in crypto by talking about products they already hold. I hope Cardano, XRP, Polkadot, all these chains will be utilizing this software because it reduces their marketing costs by over 94%. For the first time ever, you'll never have to spend money, your own money, in crypto again. You can simply come to this page, find Explorer companies. Example, we have Redbelly, which is an RWA platform that is using this campaign strategy. And you can opt in and start earning over $25 per 1,000 views on posts that you make. For example, this video that I posted on how to make money in crypto and talking about the project would have made me roughly $250 for simply making a 10,000 viewed video. Now, of course, I'm actually not going to be making money off that because they're running through our platform. And to be completely transparent with you guys, the way we will make money on this in the future isn't by one platform because we are only taking a very small percentage of the overall campaign. My hope is to disrupt the KOL market. I believe most influencers completely overcharge and hope that one day every platform will be running through this software, reducing their costs massively, increasing their revenue, and benefiting you guys, the community, the users, the KOLs, and the campaigns that much more. You see, Cardano, Ripple, Polkadot, all these companies spend millions and millions and millions of dollars every single year on marketing. And this platform that we have launched proves that roughly 94% of that value is waste. A fair warning, this is an alpha test, but if you want to check it out, that is marketing.fomo.io. Now back to BaliFest and my underrated crypto pick. It might be a little windy, but I wanted to show you guys the view here from CoinFest in Asia in Bali. This is by far the biggest conference I've ever been to. I mean, this is a festival. It stems all the way back to these back locations in Villa with other tents and booths. Down here, that's all underground. There's like an underground pool, another bar down here, huge beach club that goes all the way down and back. Massive conference, huge main center hall. This is going to be huge next year. I mean, I can't wait to come back next year. And it's very interesting. Some behind the scenes in CoinFest is going to be how big crypto is in Southeast Asia, in Asia specifically. It is completely different than the United States and your Western countries. I mean, there's products I've never even heard of out here that are hitting like 10 million user milestones. This is actually insane. And I'm not even good with heights. But as I get ready to leave, this is why I wanted to talk about Chainlink in this video. As the markets pull back, it is more important than ever to start really accumulating the assets that are, in my opinion, undervalued. And Chainlink, having the partnerships, having the connections, having the developers, sitting still below the market cap of things like Cardano, yet they have the use case, they have the users. This is a fundamental piece to the portfolio that I think everybody should be paying attention to. And I know I talk about Chainlink all the time, but just like this sketchy structure, which I'm sure is very, very sustainable, in my opinion, it's one of the building blocks to the entire crypto industry. But let me know in the comments, what do you believe the most underrated crypto is?